Welcome ladies and gentlemen, my name is Dychronic here on this Borderlands 3 video, and today we're going to be taking a look at a build for Zane that I dubbed the Kill Skill Barrier. Now this build from Zane is not the highest damage you can find in the game. I still think that Flak has probably the highest damage with its crazy crit bonuses, but this build in particular is one that is extremely survivable and probably some of the best damage that you can do out of Zane in general. The basic idea with this build is that you're spamming out your action abilities, you have a 2-second cooldown on your barrier, so you're basically nearly invincible with this barrier that you can carry around with you. You're getting your kill skills every time you activate your action abilities, and again, you basically have your barrier at all times, so you're activating your kill skills at all times, you're having your barrier at all times, so you're very protected, and just in general, a very effective, very survivable build. Now, I bet you're wondering whether or not this build is sufficient for Mayhem 3. I'm on the fence about it. Firstly, the damage potential that you can do as compared to some of the other people is actually kind of on the lower side, even with all the crazy bonuses. So you're going to find yourself kind of just shooting endless amounts of ammo to kill certain enemies, but at the same time, you're going to have an incredible survivable invincibility shield nearly all the time. So it's difficult to say either way. It's definitely a very powerful support build when playing with other people because you can, shield and bury them and keep them alive while also getting a bunch of bonuses. Moving on, let's go ahead and talk about the different perks and skills that you use in this build. Now, first and foremost, before we get started, this is an interactive build maker that can be found on the Borderlands.com website, where you can actually build and see what it would be like to use all 48 points in making a specific build. On top of that, you can actually send builds to your friends by just sending them the link. So if you want a link to this exact build that you can see on screen right now in the description down below, I will leave a link for you guys. If you want to skip this section of the video where I talk about the different perks that I use and why there's certain ones are used and the synergy between different perks, you can actually skip that out. I'm going to be talking about the strategy and the reasons why now. Anyways, let's go ahead and get started with the loadout. First of all, I have the Sentinel, which with the Sentinel, I have things like Bad Dose, which basically gives me fire rate and movement speed bonuses by lowering the fire rate and movement speed of the enemy, and on top of that, drains the enemy shield and gives it to Zane, which is very important for this build. Having higher amounts of shields is very important for a lot of the skills. Next up, for the barrier, which basically gives you near invincibility when you have it in front of you, and also gives you a damage amp bonus. Is probably one of the better parts of any Zane build because it's just so effective. It's like you can't break the shield. It's so fun to use. With the barrier shield, I like to use nanites. Will give you bonuses to health regeneration, shield recharge delayed, and reload speed. Reload speed being really nice to have, giving you better kind of DPSs. And then lastly, having deterrence field. Basically shocks and staggers any enemies that are in front of you. And if you have the barrier equipped, which you can just basically pick up with F or G, it makes it so any enemies near you will stagger away from you. Any melee enemies that come towards you will stop their attack because they're staggered by this deterrence field. And if you're playing things like Mayhem mode, enemies have so much health, they slowly start moving towards you. You can use this to kind of push them back. Next up, let's take a look at all the different perks. Now, I'm not going to go over every single little perk. I'm going to kind of give you a general idea of the different pieces. First of all, let's start off with the blue tree. The crux of this blue tree is to get as many different kill skills that give you nice little bonuses, and then activating them all at once using Seeing Red, where if you activate your action skill, it activates all of your kill skills. And not just the ones in the blue tree, there's going to be some other ones that will also activate in the green tree. On top of that, you also extend the duration and the bonuses to all those kill skills, making it so they all last around 15 seconds and are 25% more effective, making it so you can nearly have kill skills at all times, which I'll talk about how you do that in a little bit. As far as the order that I pick these perks in, first of all, I put 5 points in Violent Momentum, then I put 5 points in Cool Hand, then 1 point into Death Follows Close, then 4 points into Salvation, which, by the way, is really effective in keeping you alive when you actually have no shields. After that, I like to put in 5 points in Violent Violence, 3 points in Good Misfortune, then 2 points in Playing Dirty, and then finally Seeing Red for the final amount of points. I would say the one perk you can kind of switch out, Playing Dirty, kind of an overrated perk in my opinion. You can actually switch these 2 points out for any of these if you'd like. Moving on to the green tree, the crux of this green tree is going to be revolving around getting Stiff Upper Lip and the synergy that it has with Utility Belt. The Stiff Upper Lip, basically whenever you get damaged by a certain type, you get resistance to that particular damage type for a little while. If you combine that with Futility Belt, which basically turns turns all elemental damage into non-elemental damage, and then you get resistance to non-elemental damage. You combine that with this, you're basically getting 16% plus 15% more resistance to basically all damage all the time. On top of that, there's some pretty great bonuses to your shield recharge rate, your recharge delays, giving you more action skill cooldowns, also making it so you get more gun damage and accuracy. There's a lot of great things in this particular tree. As far as the order goes, first of all, I like to put 5 points in ready for action. After that, 3 points in stiff upper lip. After that, go for 2 points in adrenaline, then go for confident competence, then go for a point in adrenaline, then 3 points in hardy stock, and then finally futility belt to round it out to get that extra amount of bonus. And then finally, the orange tree, which is something that maybe a lot of people may not think about, is going to be synchronicity, something that's extremely important to this build, especially if you have more bonuses. This is the one where if you have a class mod, go for this very, very specifically. I have a class mod right now that gives me +4 in synchronicity, so I have nearly 40% more gun damage per action skill activated. And this is extremely important. As you're leveling up your build, I highly recommend getting at least 3 points in your first 10 levels that you level up, and then later on towards like 20 to 25, then max it out at 5 out of 5. It is something that is definitely worth it. And then lastly, just getting more magazine size is really nice to have to give you more DPS, because, you know, more magazine size means more DPS. And finally, let's go ahead and talk about strategy, how this build all works together and how it actually functions. So first and foremost, for the most part, you want to spam out your action skills at all times. So as soon as you have your drone and your bearer, throw them both out, pick up your bearer so you're actually having it equipped on you so you can run around with it and basically just shoot enemies by that point. As soon as you activate your action skills, your Seeing Red will activate, giving you all of your kill skills, so all 4 of these kill skills, as well as giving you this kill skill, giving you more resistance. Just in general, you have a ton of kill skills all across the bottom, just a bunch of different bonuses. On top of that, you'll have gun damage bonuses from shooting through the shield. You also have the shield in front of you, which is nearly invincible, and because of skills like adrenaline, making so your action skills cool down faster, and the duration of the action skills last longer with good misfortune, your barrier is going to last close to around 16 seconds and then recharge 2 seconds later. So the cooldown is 18 seconds and the duration is closer to 16 seconds. And like I was saying before, all of your kill skills last around 15 seconds. You'll basically have all of your kill skills at all times. And on top of that, you're also going to have a nearly 80% damage bonus just by having both of your action skills out at the same time, which is really, really powerful, and I highly recommend you check out this build. And that's going to be pretty much it for my kill skill barrier build for Zane. Now, like I was saying before, with Mayhem 3, it's going to be a little bit more difficult in the harder areas against the harder enemies like human targets with their shields and all that whatnot, so I highly recommend having some shock weapons, as I did not have shock weapons and was struggling a little bit. But in general, it's probably one of the more effective Zane builds out there right now for level 50s. But that's it. I hope you guys did enjoy. Let me know in the comments down below if you had any questions, concerns, updates, improvements. I would love to improve this build further. But I've been your host, Dychronic, and I will see you guys on the next one.